Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're tackling a massive, age-old mystery. Seriously, why does it seem like rich people just keep getting richer, while the middle class stays, well, utterly stuck? You know, from a very young age, most of us are taught that hard work alone is the guaranteed key to financial freedom. But is that really true? The reality is, hard work is only a tiny piece of a much larger puzzle. Today, we're going to completely decode the daily habits of the wealthy and look at the exact mechanics of how wealth is actually built.
Okay, let's dive into this by imagining a hypothetical scenario. Picture two different people, and they're both earning the exact identical salary of 300,000 rupees. They've got the exact same income, the same resources hitting their bank accounts every single month. On paper, they are starting from the exact same baseline.
But here's where their paths dramatically diverge. The first person basically spends every single rupee they earn just to maintain their lifestyle. But the second person takes a completely different approach. They buy income-generating assets. You know, things that actually make money for them while they sleep. Fast forward 20 years, and the first person is still grinding away at a 9-to-5 just to survive, while the second is entirely financially free. And here's the secret. The difference isn't luck, and it isn't raw intelligence. It's just that they are playing by a completely different set of rules.
So, here is our roadmap for this explainer. We'll start with the wealth divide. Move on to assets versus liabilities, build some cash flow machines, rethink debt and ownership, and finally, look at the power of patience. Let's get right into it.
Section 1, the wealth divide explained. The fundamental truth we literally have to accept right off the bat is that schools almost never teach the true mechanics of wealth building. We all learn history and calculus, right? But the core principles of actually managing and growing your money, those are largely left completely out of the curriculum, leaving most of us to just figure it out through exhausting trial and error.
Section 2, assets versus liabilities. Now, the wealthy have a fundamental rule they always follow before buying anything. They ask one simple but incredibly powerful question. Will this make me money or cost me money?
Which brings us to our first key definition. An asset is, simply put, something that puts money into your pocket. This is the absolute primary focus of wealthy individuals. They obsess over acquiring assets because these items generate cash independently. When you own assets, you are quite literally making money while you sleep. It's a real game changer.
On the flip side, we have liabilities. A liability is defined as something that takes money out of your pocket. These are items that require constant spending, maintenance, and upkeep. And collecting too many of these liabilities, well, that's exactly what keeps the middle class trapped in a cycle of working just to pay for things that are actively draining their wealth. The divide becomes super obvious when you actually compare them side by side. Stocks, rental property, and businesses, those are assets. Luxury cars, expensive gadgets, and designer clothes, those are liabilities. Now, the wealthy don't avoid luxuries altogether. No way. They just buy the assets first. They build up their assets so that the steady cash flows from those investments can eventually pay for the fancy luxuries. It makes so much sense, right?
Section 3, building cash flow machines. We're shifting our focus now from what people buy to how money actually moves through their lives.
To really understand this, think of money like water. For the typical middle-class earner, their financial situation is essentially a bucket full of holes. Income flows in from their salary, but is immediately drained out the bottom by shopping, monthly bills, and endless subscriptions. The money simply disappears before it can ever accumulate.
But wealthy people, they build systems that patch those holes. Step 1, a portion of their income strictly buys assets. Step 2, those assets generate their own additional income. And finally, Step 3, that new passive income buys even more assets. So the absolutely crucial point here is that they are recycling their money in a continuous circle, rather than letting it just flow out in a straight, leaky line.
Now, another major vulnerability in the middle class is relying on a single source of income. Imagine sitting on a chair with only one leg. Would you trust it? Probably not. Yet millions of us happily depend on just one single paycheck. If that job disappears tomorrow, well, the chair tips over and your entire income vanishes instantly.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how the wealthy solve this problem. They build a sturdy chair with multiple legs, or multiple streams of income. A salary might just be one slice of the pie, supplemented by investments, rental income, and businesses. Building multiple income streams ensures that even if one stream slows down or dries up completely, the others just keep on flowing.
Section 4, rethinking debt and ownership. Okay, let's dismantle some common financial myths, specifically about borrowing money and having a job.
A lot of people are taught that all debt is inherently bad, but honestly, that's just not true. Bad debt is borrowing to buy things that lose value, like putting expensive vacations on a credit card or financing luxury items you can't actually afford. But good debt? That helps you buy assets, like leveraging a business loan for equipment or securing a mortgage on a rental property that pays you more every month than the loan actually costs. The rich don't avoid debt entirely. They simply avoid useless debt and strategically use good debt to create even more wealth.
Furthermore, there's a massive difference in how we generate value. Most people sell their time by working as an employee, but wealthy people focus on owning things, whether as a business owner or an investor. When you own an asset, you profit even while you're fast asleep. This is the incredible power of leverage. Instead of working harder yourself, ownership allows you to make your money work way harder for you.
Section 5. The power of patience. We've talked extensively about the mechanics of wealth, but now we really need to look at the psychological component, which is the ultimate multiplier for success.
So let me challenge you directly to test your own instinct right now. Be completely honest with yourself. If you received 100,000 rupees today, would you spend it immediately or would you invest it for years? It's tough, right? Because this is the ultimate test of delayed gratification.
Most people unfortunately choose instant pleasure, but wealthy people consistently choose future freedom. And look, they don't avoid enjoying life, they simply choose to enjoy it later with far fewer financial worries attached. In fact, the ability to delay gratification is one of the single strongest predictors of long-term financial success out there.
There is a brilliant concept to remember here. Wealth doesn't appear overnight. It grows exactly like a tree. I love that analogy because it perfectly captures the reality that patience is often the highest paying investment of all. You literally cannot rush it.
Let's look at the exact steps for growing that financial tree. Step 1, plant the seed by making your first investments. Step 2, water it consistently by continuously adding to your assets month after month. Step 3, protect it from bad debt and unnecessary liabilities. And Step 4, give it time. The sad truth is that most people quit before the tree ever gets the chance to grow. But staying the course, sticking to these 4 simple steps, is exactly how you eventually escape the rat race. Which leaves us with this final provocative thought. Will you learn the rules to make money work for you, or will you spend your life working for it? Ultimately, the choice is entirely yours. Money is just a tool. Listen, if this explainer changed how you think about your finances, please don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone else who is seeking true financial freedom. Thanks for joining me today and keep learning.